What's up, guys? We're back with another Build Beauties today. Now, today I have a guy that I've really has made it started to make it a splash in the online organized play events. He's a deck that he wanted to submit to me, and I am actually pretty excited because me and him actually had a game the other day with this deck, and he definitely surprised me with the damage output of this deck. Go ahead and introduce yourself, my guest today.
I'm Marcus Sim. I play a lot of 18, play a lot of Manipulative, and I thought could mash up the deck. Got into the game pretty recently, actually, compared to most players, because I know, I didn't start playing till this new set that's coming up is the first set I have been around for the release of. I know some people have been around since it was Panini, now it's Fancy. So
So, you didn't play the Panini game at all? Like,
I did not.
that's wild.
I
How,
knew of it, but I just didn't get into it.
how did you find out about this particular, and how did you get into this particular version of the game?
Well, I played me and Nate Brown, who's just big advocate for this game.
Oh, Nate,
So
yep.
every time we talk to anyone, it's like you should try out this game. It's like okay, I gave it a try after a little while. I really enjoyed it because I just I really just like DBZ and card games. I've always enjoyed, and I tried some other card games, other Dragon Ball card games like DBS. I just didn't get into it as much as I have this.
Yeah. I've actually never played the Dragon Ball Super game. I thought about getting into it, but Fantasy was definitely still in its infancy in those days. And I tried to get it a couple games after Panini died, and I got into Stars Destiny, and I tried to get into Final Fantasy CCG, but I kind of faltered in both those. Just didn't have people to consistently play those games with, so I've just stuck with this one. But well, I am glad that you are into this one. Like I said, you played in some of the organized uh, or unorganized organized play events, the Octagon events this summer, and I know that you were ripping it up with Combative 18 for sure. So it's good to see. It's nice to see you try to push yourself into other styles and stuff. And I know, like you said, you like Black Manipulative. Also, my favorite mastery of set 13 there, Fusion. So I'm curious to see why the pairing of Manipulative and Android 18 specifically.
Yep. Well, start off, can't go wrong with a +1 mod on your mastery on everything, styled at least, and that's pretty wild. You get to play a bunch of good physicals, all the energies you want, so can't go wrong there. And then stage gain's wonderful, and pile banishment's just so good. Can't go wrong with that. And prevent is always just really nice for any type of energy beats deck. Keep your stages up. Losing my voice. So you keep on just throwing, 10 life unstoppable energies. That's what 18 does.
Yeah, that is true. She instantly gets put in crit range with this mastery with a lot of attacks, which is really nice, especially for black. And then she does bring kind of like I do see that there's the Rejuve on the stack. I guess that must be pretty nice for black. I know a lot of people like to pair Rejuve MPs with black.
It's pretty good. A lot of black's best cards are recurable. They're not banished after use. So it's like, okay, if you're letting my power hit, or I'm on 2 or 3, it's like I'm putting back this great card every combat. It's already an attack. Just a lot of value there.
So I see that you don't run much anger. I don't. I think I only see one card with immediate anger. Is there a reason that you don't try to level?
Um, Not specifically. I think you probably could level with this deck, and it'd be pretty good. But I think the consistency of Android 18's level 1 is just entirely wild. You get your -1, everything's considered styled. You have this one stage attack every combat. It's just a poke, and on hit gets targeted rejuve. And black has great drills that you want to get and keep out. And once they hit the discard from leveling or damage, it can be pretty hard to get them back in. So I decided I think I'll try and get out my drills, build my board, and just stay on one.
Indeed. There's a lot of added consistency with the camp deck. So with that said, addressing the drills, why don't we move on to the planning cards? There's really not too many, and most like it's kind of pretty split into one-ups for the most part. If you just want to take it away.
Yep. This will start out with a black power up at 2. I guess you could run this at 3, but with the target rejuve on our 1, you can keep on putting it back. And not really a way to stack it in this deck. No absorption drill. You have shoulder charge, which could be pretty good, but I think 2 is just a comfy way to put it. You don't want to run too many planning cards with this deck because black has really bad hand filtering. So
That is true. That is true.
and then 2 Android attack drills. For most 18 decks, I found I like to run this drill at 2, even though you can only have 1 in play, because it's so much damage if you just keep it out on the board. And black doesn't have another like +2 drill like aura drill, so you got to keep this out for your big damage. It's where it's gonna be what you want out most of the time. Gotta
Yep,
have it.
for sure, for sure. +3 on everything with mastery is pretty solid.
Yep. And then smoothness drills, pretty self-explanatory. Pretty broken drill. Can't go wrong with hand advantage.
That's true. That's true.
Android efficiency drill is it's a safety net because you get this, minimum 5 on every attack's already great because you might not have your other drills out. And even though you're mostly hitting for 5, your mastery anyways, it can kick your level 1 up to 5. Kick cards like Empowered Elbow and Energy Focus up to 5 life if you don't have any mods out. And then it's power to mill instead of paying stage cost is just great. You ever get stage locked, you get this out, you're doing fine. And with some nice combos on like you can hit Gut Crusher with this self mill effect and you'll get a drill or shoulder charge or energy focus, all these self mill effects that are just really good.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, no, I like the idea of it. I mean, it just gives you that um, extra maneuverability as an entry beats deck or stage cost deck, especially with the master and that card out. It's going to be really hard to stop 18 from playing attacks.
Yep, sure. With already, her -1 on everything,
Yeah,
it gets pretty hard to keep her down. And then Rupture Drill, just a +1, and goes on to play in Self Mill, which has also got 3 Endurance, which is one of its biggest selling points to me.
yeah, I love this card.
And Pile Banishment's just, gosh, you cannot go wrong with Pile Banishment. With so much of it meta in the game right now, like just tons of rejuve, like Broly and Gohan, and like Orange Combative, if they don't have Shopping Drill out.
Yeah,
Getting banishing their pile is just such an important thing. And then Learning Drill, which is a pretty kooky little drill. Just Black doesn't have a lot of board removal, so sometimes you just gotta pop this out, name something. Like going into a deck that plays blue blockade a lot is just pain as black. And if you can name, it with this card, it's like, oh my god, this is great. So
yeah, I think this card is definitely for me. It excels when it's against. And so I know you do have some search in combat, which we'll kind of get to some of those cards there. But I really love this card naming cards preemptively. Like a lot of when entering combat effect cards are usually what I end up feeling like I name with this, unless like my opponent's been passing. Like I know like Red Destiny is definitely a card I hit pretty often, but I really like this drill as like a one or two of in any black deck that's not trying to level for sure. So I like that you added it. I really do like it. What I am curious about, well, two things. So we'll kind of talk. There's 3 more planning step cards. I say planning step as in they can be played during planning step cards that you have up on your side there, but you don't have erasing drill or mischievous drill. I'm curious as to why you didn't run those two drills.
Honestly, just to not clog up the deck. Now, a racing drill I have tested in this deck, and it can be super good because disc is unstoppable, and you have some attacks that like they don't really want to let hit, but they're low damage, like 18's one, and empowered elbow can really help with the drill removal, and and then mischievous drill is milling 4 is a lot
Yeah,
for this deck, especially when there's not a lot of the mill effects in this deck are good, but they're few. So I think I'd rather just let my opponent build up their board and let just me have great hands in combat and just build up. Just do what I want to do instead of stopping them from doing what they want to do.
for sure. I don't know. I think with a especially with an entry level one attack, it's just like I feel like you have to run erasing drill. Like it's too good not to run a one of erasing, the one of erasing drill. That's me
It is
personally.
really good. Maybe I'm just getting greedy.
That's fair. No, but I think that would be. I mean, otherwise, I really like these numbers. I think you're right on the attack drill. I think attack drill is just so powerful, especially like black. Like a lot of their attacks are really
Hmm.
wimpy. So like if you can get this out, um, they have some really good
And
effects on these attacks too.
yep,
Um,
it lets me play these physicals too. You don't feel bad about throwing D burst because it comes in for 7 with attack drill out. It's like, okay, here we
yeah,
go.
and of course, rupture drill I think is just one of the God, one of my favorite black cards, honestly. So it's always fun to
I
see
even
that card.
consider playing rupture drill at 2. It's just great.
Yeah, I agree. Um, we have three more cards that they're up by your mastery. Now, I'm curious as to why you separated these three.
Honestly, because they're more useful in combat than outside. I mean, outside of combat. Because a combat ender from 17 is like, all right, that's great, and he's got a great constant effect. So you put him in play, you know, any next combat you pull into toss or disc, and it's like, all right, here comes some unpreventable, massive damage. And then Krillin's just an omni bot that gains you stages. Now, there is a lot of focus coming into the game with the new set, so I could see him getting like a little worse, but he's still just a great card. He rejuves on a leaving play, and he's got a +1 on silent energies, which 18 just eats up any mod you can get. And then DB7, just combat ender. Just you don't want to be in com. You want to be in combat with this deck, but you don't want to be in combats where like they entered on you. You need to enter on your terms with this deck. So keeping these combat enters to kind of help yourself out, get back to like a planning phase, or to filter out your hand to pull enter with like a wild hand.
Yeah,
Just keep on keeping yourself safe until 18 has just explosive combat where she has a toss in hand, she has a disc in hand, she has 17 on the board, she has swagger blast, just
I'm gonna
whatever she can do.
I'm gonna mention this since you were talking about the comment ending. I will mention this because will probably forget by the time we get to the text, but you don't run blinding energy move. Is it just because you have all these free no cost combat enders already and you felt that was enough, or would you consider blinding energy move as well?
Yeah, the thing about blinding I've discovered in this deck is that while combat ending is great, you have enough of it, especially with power up, which is just it stays on board, it has to be banished, and really hate banishing the top 2 of my deck
Hmm,
with 18 because those are cards that I can just so easily rejuvenate,
that's
and
fair.
it's low damage, and it's not styled, which is just non-styled hate is pretty rough.
Yeah, I wasn't.
So I
Oh,
just
oh, God. Yeah, I was gonna.
sorry, what were we gonna say?
Oh, I was just gonna say. Yeah, I was gonna say you don't really have too many freestyle cards in this deck, and then of course everything named or sorry, Android is considered styled. So that's actually kind of relevant. Like it is kind of neat that Android 17, because he or is it just the attacks? No, it's attacks. Never
I
mind.
think it's just the
It is
attacks.
just
Oh,
attacks.
it'd
Never
be
mind.
really cool if he was styled. That'd be
Yeah, I was thinking for some reason, like, yeah, if it was considered style, you get around Sweepy Blast in combat and stuff would be kind of cute, but I guess it doesn't really ultimately wouldn't ultimately matter too bad in this deck. But no, I like it. I like it's a very tight and focused board. I mean, like I said, personally, I like erasing drill a lot, but everything else makes complete sense. I think the two allies that Hero 18 gets are just too good not to run. 17
for sure.
and Krillin, especially Krillin though. Krillin just you can't get rid of him. You know,
Yeah, man. You
he
just,
he just goes
oh my God,
right
every time it's like,
right back in the
what do I
deck.
do, man? And just 2 stages is a lot for 18. For other MPs, that might be just a one attack, but 18 can squeeze 2 out just because, you're
Yeah,
-1
yeah,
stage cost. So if you get stage locked, throw out Krillin, a block and attack, just take some on your MP and keep on throwing. Why not?
yeah. So we'll move on to the next section here. You don't really have too many events. There is one event that is really peculiar, and I'm going to ask you about it when we get to it. But go ahead and take away on the events here. I'm really curious about your numbers and why for each of these.
Yep. Start off with Glare. Uh, just really good card for Android MPs in black. You get to have their hand revealed to the start of your next, which is with Toss. You can get these great you know great cards. You can get your disc if they have a bad hand, or you can get a 17 to end combat if they've got a great hand, and then you get a drill, which is just like, okay, I'm looking at their hand. What drill do I need? Or you can get a setup. So if you need power up and you got to like dip out of that combat, like, okay, just what do I need here? And black just has such good drills, and power up just so good. It's just a great card. Go into this deck, keep yourself safe and knowledge, because 18 does have some good amount of tutoring.
That is true.
And
That is
then
true.
Black Request, I think, is kind of spicy in this deck.
Yeah, this is the one
Uh,
that I was really going to inquire about how you feel about this card because this is a card that I always think about trying to run. And then I just never end up making like a black hero deck or not black hero deck. Like I just never really like end up making a deck where like I can slot it in. I'm curious what was the reasoning here?
well, my thought process is playing 2 disc or 2 toss, and that just does it for me. I just
Yeah,
like that because playing 2 tossed. Okay, so I'm gonna go for Android Tac Drill on my first, then I'm gonna get disc on my second, and I'm just free. 2 6 life card toss, 7 life card toss if you got Tac Drill actually because it's styled, and then just going for disc as a finisher. It's like, all right, let's take it, and
yeah,
then disc staying in play a second time. 2 unstoppables in a combat. It's just ow.
yeah.
It just hurts.
Oh yeah. No, I like that.
And the
It.
first
Oh,
the first sentence, looking at their top 3, it's nice. It's not the biggest deal, but I guess you could kind of just put some endurance, like maybe bait them into preventing disc, so you get your card draw, something like that. But the main thing here is just getting that second disc or toss.
yeah. So that I can see why because it's definitely a card that you only really want to use for those cards. I would imagine in this deck for the most part. Or maybe not even. Actually, no. I mean, there's actually quite a few powerful cards in here that
I
would
mean,
be
yeah,
pretty good doubled up.
Swagger Blast, D-Burst, and like if you're playing board heavy, like playing Empowered Elbow twice could be really good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was thinking shit double trick shot. I mean, that's just excessive, but
Oh
uh,
yeah,
no, it feels like most of the attacks in here are pretty powerhouse. Hell, even energy focus. If you land that twice, that's potentially knocking 2 cards out of their hand. That's pretty good.
oh yeah. So many just great hit effects in this deck.
Yeah.
Like playing against Anger, double trick shot, or double gut crusher. It's like, what do you do?
Yeah. Oh my God. Double guard crusher. -6 anger potentially. Yeah, I like it. What about when I see people run sphere or confrontation, I like to ask them. It's like, what's the reasoning for one or the other or the numbers? So what is the reasoning here? You went 2-1. Why did you go 2-1? And why the sphere at 2 versus the other way around?
Honestly, I think it's just because I like Sphere more. I like punishing people for playing event blocks. So just like many times, it's like they use an event block on like a D burst or an energy focus, and it's like, okay, I'm just gonna Sphere it, and you're gonna neg one out of your hand, or you can't perform physicals anymore. And then it's just good, like, can't go wrong with Sphere. Unleashed is always a threat. Time is always a threat. There's a lot of really good events, and I just think of an event in like every style that I just don't want to have happen to me. I don't want Red Retreat to happen. I don't want any black event to happen
Yeah. Oh.
at all.
Oh yeah.
And the Rejuve is just a cherry on top. And then Confro at 1, just because I just like having the option of both.
Mm.
Because, in some matchups, Confro is going to be infinitely better than Sphere, and then the other Sphere is going to be infinitely better than Confro. So just still keeping it at a count of 3 overall, not filling my deck with them,
Yeah.
but definitely having the option of either. I just value Sphere more, and
That's
that's why I play it at 2
that's
instead of
interesting.
at 1.
Hmm. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah. I mean, it seems like I feel like maybe tax just ultimately probably better for you to draw than confrontation, and sphere kind of deals with majority of stuff that it sounds like that you don't like. So interesting. Makes sense. Makes sense. And I think you're right. Sometimes confrontation is better always than sphere. So um, interesting. Let's move on to. Would you like to do the blocks or would you like to do the attacks?
I guess we can go on the blocks. They're right there. Guess we'll start off with Swipe. Just 2 Endurance Energy block that has Banish 3 on it, which is just entirely fire. Just, there is no way I don't want this card. I only play it 2 because this is another better energy block for 18
Mm-hmm. We'll
in
get
black. This +4 that we're about to come up on. But just a solid card with 2 Endurance and extreme utility.
absolutely.
And then on the flinch, just absolutely bonkers card for 18. She's already putting out so much damage. And then, you throw into her, she blocks with flinch. It's like, oh my god, she's about to play a disc for at least a +5. Probably plus, 7 with attack drill. It's like, how did this just happen to me, man?
Oh yeah.
And it's got 2 endurance on it, just the, kind of icing on the cake. Any cards with endurance are just really appealing to me. I like living for a long time.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
time's pretty standard. I think unless you plan on abusing orange freezing drill or surprise attack. Should probably include this in every deck. And then, black delay is just pretty wild card. 1 endurance. Play it at 3 just because it's so good.
Yeah.
Because,
This card is definitely in the in a lot of the physical beat matchups. This card is just Satan to play against. It's just -2ing you by blocking and then stealing a card out of your hand if you block like an impede power. It's just oh man, it definitely forces you to change your tempo, to change your sequencing against black in fear of this card. So,
yeah, and it's not banished after use. You just keep on putting it back into your deck.
yep.
Pretty great. And then upward dodge, just classic disc and synergy. No endurance on it, but +4 is just way too good to pass up. Play it at 3 just because this deck needs to push damage when it can, for sure.
Yeah, just kind of more in line with that black flinch stuff.
Yep. And then black easy block, which is just, it's an alternative to black check if you don't want the anger from check, which I don't. I think I'm more comfy just sitting on 1. I don't really want to accidentally anger, though that could be really, really hard. That doesn't happen a lot.
Mm.
And it
Yeah,
also makes my MP power styled so it's free. Just a little cool
that is yeah.
little interaction there.
Yeah, I think
And the
that's
low ranger one's pretty nice. So
yeah. No, I agree with that reasoning. No, it seems like I think physical beats are ultimately going to be more what you're worried about. Seems like at least in the block lineup and even on some of the board, there's some endurance. You don't have a ton of endurance, so I could see like an energy beat matchup being just kind of like a race more so,
mhm.
you know what I mean, versus like physical matchup. At least you got the allies, you got the con, you got the stage gain, you have the with power ups. Um, your stuff's already free. You get the mask. You know what I mean. It seems like you got a lot of answers to physical beat, but I think that's probably the one that just locks you out so much more. So it's probably better to be better prepared
Yeah,
for that one.
it can just be sometimes physical beats. You've gotta have your outs against it, or else you just die.
Yeah,
And you get stage locked, and it's just all right. I need to somehow live this combat, and the blocks and the combat enders are just how you do that. Keep them nice, keep them coming. And when it comes to energy beats, I only play those blocks because unless you're 18, you're probably not faster than 18 when it comes to pushing damage.
yeah,
So
I'd agree with that one for the most part. I mean, I know enhanced Broly will run a lot of energies at times, but he usually doesn't throw more than two in combat. But they usually tend to be unpreventable. So I don't know.
they do usually tend to be unpreventable, which is just, oh, come on, man.
Yeah, yeah. Well, no, I like that. I like this lineup. I really do like. I mean, Easy Black I used to run all the time prior to check for the anger lower. And now it's like I personally generally play decks I want to level for the most part. So I do end up running check. I ever like really liked Black Brace. If you considered Black Brace, I know it does raise anger, but on reveal, you get the banish two like swipes gets you three. You get banish two on the play, and then the next time you reveal, you gain 5 stages with Black Brace. If you consider that card by any chance, or Black Finger Block even.
Uh, I have considered them. I think I just like I like these hard blocks. I only play um, one event block, which is time. I'm just really anticipating this incoming focused
Mm-hmm.
support on like Tapion and the card pool. So it's like playing these event blocks is just a little scary. And
Yeah,
finger block, I definitely considered, but I was looking at my deck and I was thinking, oh, I don't know if I have the anti-anger for to beat those matchups. So I just looked at easy block and was like, all right, I'll take the lower anger one over the game three.
yeah. Hmm.
I think you could definitely run finger block, even to like just cut an attack for it. Just because 18 doesn't need to play that many attacks. She just needs to hit you with a few, and you're down to like 10 life. So staying alive, building up your board, building up your attacks, just 18's motto.
Yeah. I guess one final note. A lot of so the majority of the 818 decks I see do level. You don't run Defiant Challenge, and I know one of the big ways that 18 players get their discs back and things is by, excuse me, is just bouncing up these like higher levels. I know Shane likes to say that if you hit 18 level 4, you've like already won. You're going to win the game no matter what. Uh, hell, even 3 is pretty powerful. Um, do you find yourself missing that ability to go grab discs, or do you just kind of is it your general game plan like you're saving them up for the right moment?
Generally, I am just saving them up for the right moment. I don't usually keep them in hand when I see them because I want to save them for when I've got my drills out later
Mm,
or when it's just really vital that I need that unstoppable. So it definitely hurts only be able to play three at max a game, whereas other variants of 18 can play up to like even five with Defiant Challenge and like level fours rejuve and search. So, but you just gotta play with what you get in this deck and just save up for this one wild combat where you just go ham.
mm. Well, with that said, I think the most exciting part is the attacks, and you definitely run some interesting choices. it's definitely like a very mixed package for sure. There's a couple cards that I think are obvious, like but I like to hear your reasoning for your numbers and maybe if there's any attacks that you're like missing at the end of all of it that you feel like you could try to work in. But let's run into the attacks here. Start with that shoulder charge there.
Yep, sounds good. Shoulder charge, just absolutely wild card on defense and manipulative. Reveal it to prevent everything and lower their anger one. Stack a gut crusher, or even if you want to, an energy focus if you're really hoping on banking to hit that ball out of their deck. So, and at worst, it's a 3-stage attack that still places one on top and lowers anger one. It just feels way worse playing it on offense. But just great defensive card, kind of acts as a block. I really wouldn't recommend playing this card offensively. So,
Yeah.
and then on the D-burst, just staple card in black decks, just because running into a physical beast matchup is just, you've got to be really scared of what they can do. Just, you've got to respect them at all times, and just this free 4 life card attack gets modded by attack drill and manipulative and rupture drill. All these mods can come in for like 8 life, and on hit it just wins you the combat. D-burst has definitely stolen many a game from physical beats decks. So
Yeah, no, I agree. I think physical beats are the most volatile in the game as far as aggro goes. So I think you just have to. I think you really have to sell into beating, really shutting them down versus energy decks. Just usually energy decks feel like they just take a lot more time to get going. And I do agree with your statement that 18. If you're like, I don't think like nobody else who's playing energy can like outpace 18 or like beat her in speed at least. So at least on the damage output level.
yep, vehicle tosses here just because nice little +1/+1 mod. You're not really ever going to use the stage mod, but I don't know, might save you some AT damage every now and then. You can still play this card on defense to attach it as a block, and it's it's a 5 life card attack with no other mods. If you play it from your hand, you attach it, you do the mod itself, manipulative, then you put a attack drill and play in rupture drill. Update cards, just it gets going, man. It just
Yeah,
does what it does.
yeah, I don't see this card played super often anymore. But that is true. It's a critical attack with the mastery, like right off the bat, which is pretty cool. I'm curious, why only one?
Just so I don't play a second one and banish both.
That's fair. Oh, you know what? That's true. It's very true. That is. I forgot that's that. Yep, that's funny. That's fucking hilarious. Okay, that makes sense. I like that. Gut Crusher. Now this card's. We keep talking about this card. I feel like this card has got to be one of the best cards in the deck, like potentially.
It's it is wild, to say the least. And it's parenthetical. It's just everything black wants. Searching a drill, no matter how like crazy it might be to have to mill this card off your deck to get it. Black's like, okay, we can make that work. I have smoothness drill and absorption drill. I'll take that. And then it's like it's a physical for 5 life with a great hit effect, and not always is it going to be preventable. Manipulative can make it come in just for 5, no mods, no prev. But even then, you can just throw this card before you manipulative. Get it into your discard if you have like a shoulder charge in your hand, or if you just want to hit them lower than your 2. Get all the mods. 1 from manipulative, 2 from attack drill, another from rupture, another from vehicle toss, 10 life card attack. Just everything in this deck can be like an 8 to 10 life card attack.
I was just say, Gut Crusher can't get modified though.
Only if you haven't milled. I mean, only if you have milled. So if like you lead with this
Oh, you're
card,
right. Oh, yeah, yep, you're right. Okay, I'm thinking. Yeah, that's actually interesting because nobody ever. Oh, wow, I forgot that. That's yeah. Because most time I'm usually just like, oh, I want that preventable. That's right. It is two. It's all in one sentence. Oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I forgot about that. Hmm. The more look at all this stuff I'm remembering talking to you, the vehicle toss and the gut crusher. Guess I needed this refresher, even though I've been playing some Black Manipulative lately. I feel a little silly.
Hmm. Guess we'll move on to energies then. You've got a toss, of course, just absolutely wild named card. At worst, it's a energy for 5 in this deck that costs you 1. At best, it gets you attack drill or disc or efficiency drill onto the board, 17 into your hand or on the board. So just so much versatility to this card. It can search you combat endure. It can get you unstage locked if you're about to be by searching efficiency drill. Get you a +2 mod, can get you an unstoppable attack. It's just, what does this card not do?
For sure, for sure. No, I really liked when you were talking about glare in this card. Uh, you really do have the ability to crack open your deck pretty well and get what you need to with those 2 cards. I do like that actually. Black Glare is one of those cards that I always like eye up, and I've like thought about Android 18. I usually just end up thinking about like Tau personally and Android 17, but I do really like how you've what it does for you in this deck with 18. I think is really cool. Definitely opening my up on that quite a bit.
Yep. And then disc. Now, I don't know how people think this compares to like Krillin's disc. I think it's better just because it gets considered to be styled. And, it's usually unpreventable anyways of 17 out. And if they do, you draw a card. And in this deck, in orange decks, I discover a lot of times when I draw a card off disc, it's dead. But in this deck, it's like every card I'm going to pull is going to be live. Like, give me that card, please. So,
Yeah,
just, yeah, unstoppable,
good
not
card.
prevent draw. Just good card. Why not?
Yeah, Spiker Blast, man. This card's pretty gnarly.
This card's pretty stacked up. I mean, it just does everything for you. Can raise your anger 1 if you really feel like trying to level with a little bit of anger in this deck. And, 2 or less traits, so no endurance on it. 5 life base with a pretty good hit effect because crits are just so strong. You can hit this into disc, 2 crits. It's like, okay. And then it's parenthetical, it just does so much for you. And a bit of revealing this to block, well, prevent, gaining 5, lowering their anger 1, just does so much.
Yeah,
And
I do like that this card is essentially like almost like a second disc in this deck,
oh, for sure. It's
or at
just,
least or just similar in terms of just like potentially big unpreventable.
it's just wild card. Can't go wrong. Obviously, the attacks we've talked so far about are 3, just because they're so good.
Yeah,
And then on energy focus, the biggest selling point of this card is just that it costs 1 stage, so it's always live to me. And that's just really good for 18 because I make every attack hit really hard. It's got a lower anger 1 on it, which this deck needs. If you don't hit your trick shots, anger can be really scary to play against. And 3 life base, all the mods you have. But then its hit effect just so great. They just discard a card. Just, all right, you're gonna have to block this card, or else you just discard whatever you're trying to save.
yeah. It's a free bait blocker for sure, and it's not banished after
Yep.
use, which is pretty cool.
Yep. Then Empowered Elbow is just 1 endurance, and it's drill hate. Can be played on defense to hate drills. So, unfortunately, it's not banish, which black doesn't really struggle with that much, because once it hits the discard pile, you can banish it. But there are sequences like they can destroy something and then just put it right back into play. Like playing
Combative.
this card against checkup drill, it's like, should I even do it? But if you're playing a card that's against checkup drill, I guess you should just wait to reveal it to manipulative, so they don't destroy their checkup at risk of it getting banished because it's your action.
Yeah,
I've thought about playing maximum shout in this deck a lot just for this card, banish their drills to draw.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like increasing that planning count much more at all.
I also feel like this being your only destroy effect wouldn't really be worth it personally. Like if again, it kind of goes back to if you're running a racing drill, I could see a little bit more of the um, desire to do it. Plus, it's also not. I mean, plus it's also just a card, a big card that's not attacking. You know what I mean?
Yep,
So,
for sure.
but that's interesting. I wasn't even thinking about Empower Double with that card, so that's definitely interesting. I usually just think of like I have to if I don't have it on the MP, I don't want to run the maximum shot for that effect personally. But
Yep. Then just trick shot, not sot. 2-stage attack, 2 endurance, at 3, just because it's what this deck needs to be anger decks. And you need to see this card, and you need to see it at least in a one crucial combat. Now, it can crit with a efficiency drop because that's after modifiers. It's no prevent 5, and playing it on defense is also great because it's just an entire thing. Its entire thing is an immediate effect. So
yeah,
can't go wrong there. It's just now there's a problem with cards like this where 18 can't mod them. Like there are a lot of cards that you really want to play, but you can't mod them. So it's like, oh, you just lose a lot of steam playing those types of cards.
yeah, like the Gut Crusher is definitely one of those ones where it's like you got to really, given that you can definitely still throw it for modifiable, you definitely have to sequence a bit around it if you want to throw it for the biggest amount of damage possible.
Yep. But yeah, this card just has way too much anti-anger on it to not play, regardless of whether it's modifiable or not.
Yeah, yeah. I think this card usually ends up feeling the best with manipulative when I reveal it, more so than when I throw it. Um, Personally, that's been my experience. But just people, just defensively being able to just lower their anger is so huge. I think that's one of. I think that's honestly Black Manipulative's like greatest strength is the reveal for these effects on the defensive. Just creates all these new interactions um, that opponents usually don't think about, and that like as a deck builder really give you a lot of choice. Um, it allows you to run a lot of these like
Hmm.
one-ups like vehicle toss where it's like always going to be actually pretty decent. Like shoulder charge is one of those cards that like definitely didn't see a lot of play for a while, and then all of a sudden manipulative comes out and it's a staple. It's just so
Hmm.
it's really cool to see manipulative. That's just why I love manipulative personally. It just pushes all
Yeah.
these cool interactions.
It's,
But
yep. Sometimes look at Manipulative and I'm just like, wow, that is just so crazy what you can do with its reveal. Man,
absolutely. Now is
I
there?
just wish that Manipulative worked with toss, revealing toss to it.
Oh
It
yeah,
almost,
I don't.
I
Yeah,
thought maybe it would, but I don't
you.
think it does because you have to reveal the styled card first.
Yeah, I was gonna say it
Now, if
doesn't.
it just say play a styled attack card, it might work, but I don't know. Weird ruling
Yeah,
question.
it's not considered style until it's like played. I don't know. It's really weird. I don't. It's such a convoluted ruling how that whole non-style to style thing works. Like sweeping
Yeah,
blast, you could still play them around sweeping blast. So, but
yeah,
like then you couldn't play them to manipulative match. It's really doesn't have a consistent ruling there.
yeah. It's pretty odd.
But anyway, no. I really like the attack lineup. Is there anything that you could see yourself changing to the attack lineup?
I would really like to play Black Double Team. I
Mm.
just have trouble fitting it in. I just don't know what I would take out for it. I just think all the cards I have here are just good cards that work in so many matchups, and double teams just this possible, +1 to your hand, a lot big damage attack, and it's just I don't know if I need any more damage. I think I'd rather have the utility to just keep on pushing what I can do
For sure.
with my massive damage mods and shut them down as I do.
Interesting. No, really cool deck. So with all of this stuff said, what do you feel are the good and the bad matchups for this deck?
Good matchups are definitely other energy beats matchups. You just go so much faster. You run over them because you're 18 and you have like all these awesome cards to just go wild with. It does kind of suck that your allies get really easily removed against energy beats decks, but a lot of times you can make it without them just because you just outpace them so fast.
Yeah.
And control, I don't know, I've had a bit of a mixed experience with control decks. Sometimes it goes really well for me, sometimes it doesn't. But a lot of times you just can, you just gotta wait till you see attack drill, and then you just keep on going in and in and in. And it's just, all right, hopefully this goes well. I'm just gonna do 18 things. I'm just gonna enter and throw energies and ride or die.
I'm assuming against the control matchup, you're just trying to get going before they get established, really.
Yep,
Because
that's it.
I feel like mostly it's like the lack of there's really a huge lack of board hate in this um, that I'm seeing, and so I would imagine that just makes it. Now, granted, you have unstoppable disc, which could be pretty, which could help you kind of seal it against those decks, I suppose. But
Hmm.
I could definitely see that being like a
If
mid.
it really does turn out rough for me, a racing drill could definitely, like, there's no reason to not play a racing drill other than I
Yeah,
just want to be greedy and just throw a lot.
I know.
And if it does, if I do end up losing to control decks because I don't play a racing drill, well, lesson learned, I'll play it next time.
Yeah,
So, and then aggro beats decks, stage beats decks, it's so just hit or miss.
yeah.
Every time it's like, all right, I'm either going to blow out this game or you're going to kill me in 3 combats. Let's see how it goes.
It feels like
But there is a sense of consistency to this deck, not near the amount of consistency that like combative 18 or adaptive 18 has
yeah,
against aggro decks. It's like combative 18 just eats a stage beast deck every day of the week.
yeah, yeah. That's the thing. Combat like orange in general, but specifically combative. Just being able to like get your face beat and flip a checkup drill for swerve. Okay, combat's over. That's what that means.
Yep.
Um, you know what I mean against physical beats. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely. I feel like physical beatdown is the most coin flippy matchup in the game. They either just you draw brick and they draw really good, or if you draw decent, they don't do anything. Like some can definitely like late game flip a combat on you at any point, but as long as you don't like break an entire hand, like stage beats is pretty manageable with the card pool. Especially looking at your list, like you have a lot of answers for stage beats. So I could definitely, I wouldn't, I think I agree with just now. I haven't played your deck, but just like looking at it, I'm like, I can definitely see how you could dumpster stage beats if you can just smack them with some D-bursts and or you get a power up or two out in the game or black lair for power up. You could just completely control the game
Yep.
to where you could just start throwing enough damage to outtrade them. Like you're talking about your destructive discs and your swagger blast with all the modifiers are just a game winner. So yeah, I'm
Yeah,
kind
there's a lot of answers because
yeah,
like power up, you can tutor it already. You mentioned that, and then toss. If you have the stages to play it at some point, you have 17 or in combat. If I find that stage beats really just ran me over with this deck, I would definitely slot in an arm breaker out of 2 of. Because
18 Starbreaker.
yep, Android 18's arm breaker to just keep on dipping out of combat because they've are now it does kind of work against yourself
Yeah,
because you don't want that physical. Honestly,
I
you
was
want
gonna
to push
say
damage.
I was gonna say I
And
still feel like blinding would be better because blinding gets the immediate end versus Starbreaker's got a hit.
my thing with that is that it's the I get to tutor arm breaker with toss versus
That's true. That's
blinding
true.
gets to end immediately, and it's just kind of like a scale of what you think you want more.
Mm,
And I don't know, maybe in a world you just play all the combat enders, just play 17,
yeah.
DB7, 3 power up, 3 arm breaker, 2 blinding.
Maybe.
Physical beast just, well, and suppressive strike happens and kind of cry yourself to sleep at night.
Pretty much. There was somebody playing an Ascension 18 that ran every combat ender in red, all the freestyle combat enders, and then of course arm breaker 3. So you got like 8 or 9 combat enders, and the deck is just like every hand is just like you
I
get.
played that deck in one of the unorganized play tournaments.
Yeah, it's a real pain in the ass to play against. Um,
Oh yeah, it's like, oh, you can't catch him. It's like, what do I do?
yeah, it's definitely could be frustrating with all that stuff, but it still kicks out pretty decent damage um, with uh, with all the red energies and stuff. But no, I like this list. It's really cool. I think Manipulative is still super underexplored. I think Black Glare is underexplored. I think Energy Focus. It's cool to see deck running this card because I've been eyeing this card up since it came out. I was a big Black Weedle guy. I've really enjoyed like the weaker Android stuff, um, and I've really wanted to try. I thought 18 would be pretty decent with this card, but I'm just not a huge 18 player. But talking with you and Shane has made me like really want to play 18 a lot more again. So looking at this list, I mean, this list looks like just a ton of fun. Like I think it
Oh
just
yeah,
looks just like super fun. Like you have all
there's
the
no
like,
better feeling than throwing Swagger Blast in the disc, getting
yeah,
tossed. It's like, all right, keep on eating all this unpreventable damage. I'm just killing you in a combat. One of my favorite times with this deck is, it's not in here now, but I took it out. But there's called Constant Barrage, where
yep,
you mill 2 on crit.
yep.
There's combat where I played a game against Nate Brown, and I did 33 cards of damage in a combat where he played time with disc and constant barrage mill.
Oh,
And that was
that's
just
hilarious.
that was just the peak of what this deck could do.
Yeah, yeah. Constant
It's
Barrage
just,
is a cool card. I always that's definitely a card I've experimented with more and more as I've played some Black Life Beats as of late. So
I would like to slot that card back in, but it's just so situational.
yeah,
You've got to hit a lot, and all of them got to crit. And unless Black gets like a style dig or something in this upcoming set,
I don't
it's
see
just
that.
hard.
I don't see that happening.
One day, one day.
Um, I guess one thing I was thinking, have you ever? I mean, I don't know. I guess it doesn't really have a spot, but like I was thinking, Android Headbutt would even be decent in this deck for the potential the crit. But I think that's just gravy. I feel like you just got enough damage going out that you don't really need the discard crit on the head anyway. But it would also be a little
I
like
do
late anger control. It'd be style as well, since it's unpreventable with Android 17.
I do really like Android Headbutt and another freestyle Android card, Android Defensive Blast.
Yeah, that
Both of
card's
those
pretty.
cards are just, they're just fire,
Yeah, that
but
card's pretty neat.
they do just end up getting cut for just better options.
Yeah, I agree. Well, this was really cool. I might have to. I mean, we played the game. I might have to. I forgot what I played when we played, but I might have to steal this list and give it a shot or two. This is like really interesting. I really like this one. I did an in-depth 18 as well, and they both are just really interesting lists. They're just so like 18. I think is just so cool how she can just be slotted and make decks like super aggressive and like have all this like critical damage at their disposal. I think it's just super cool. And there's also, of course, some pretty good Android traded cards as well out there in black. So
Yep.
I think this is definitely a deck that people should probably try to explore a little bit. This is actually like I really feel like there may be something pretty decent in here. And manipulative
Hmm.
mastery is just so powerful. I think this is so much for the meta, as you were saying,
Yeah,
Marcus.
just the
So
meta of Namekian Rejuve and Enhanced Broly banishing their pile is just like, all right, let's do it.
absolutely,
What this deck really does well, I just thought was super funny, is I don't know if I've lost a game to imposing God on this deck, because if he ever turn one enters on you, you just block and banish his pile so he doesn't make extra actions. And it's just so money.
yeah, absolutely. Well, Marcus, I just want to thank you for coming on and sharing this deck. It was a real pleasure to hear you kind of talk it out and explain this one. It's definitely, like I said, you reminded me of a few of the interactions I needed a little brushing up on, but it's also, it's definitely makes me want to definitely, this makes me want to play this deck. I'm actually genuinely curious about this deck. I'm curious to see how you do with this. You'll have to send me some messages about it. But I just want to say thanks for coming on, man. Really appreciate it.
Yep. Really enjoyed it. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. Well, as always, I'll end the video with anybody that has a deck that they would like to spotlight or knows someone with a nice, cool idea that they'd like to spotlight. I really implore you to hit me up, Facebook or on YouTube, and I would gladly try to do a video with you, have you kind of run through it, explain it with me. Build BeautieZ has definitely put me in touch with a lot of people in the community that I've really appreciated having interactions with. So, as always, guys, take it easy. Peace.